Hello, everyone. Welcome to part three of the college application process. Been meaning to post sooner, so I appreciate your patience. Life got a little bit busy, but in this section of this YouTube series, I'm going to talk about how to create your college list, which is really important now that you again have kind of reflected on who you are, your resources, your support systems. Now we're really going to get into the actual bulk of what does it take to apply to college. Hopefully like the transition. I'm trying to make it a bit more fun and aesthetic. So we're gonna talk about five main topics in this video. One is going to be fit factors. Two is going to be how do you really explain and walk through what's important to you as you are crafting your college list. Three is going to be all the different types of institutions and colleges. There is a lot, so if you want to skip through that, you're welcome to. This is more so to give you knowledge about different types of schools you can apply to, and then going over safety target reach schools because those are going to help to map out the number of schools you apply to and also which ones you're more or less most likely to get into and then you're not likely to get into. And then a little bit about what a college list template can look like. So, what are fit factors? They are the criteria characteristics that help students evaluate how well a college or university aligns with their academic, personal, and career goals. These factors guide students in selecting institutions that match their needs, preferences, and aspirations, ensuring a suitable environment for their educational journey. That's a lot. To sum it up, though, fit factors are just what makes a school a right fit for you. And you're going to use these to sort of like go down a list or checklist, right? Let's say you have three or four fit factors. You want to make sure that most of those are checked off when you are applying to one school. And again, it's going to be very dependent on you as an individual and what you need out of your college experience and out of the institution. And it can be related to academics, again, goals, it can be related to personal family values or maybe distance. There's so many fit factors out there, but you have to decide which ones you want to uphold as you're crafting your list. So I want to share one practice that I like to do, and it is ranking different fit factors and questions on a scale of 1 to 5. So I'm going to walk y'all through this, and what you can do is you can maybe take notes on your phone or maybe a piece of paper, or you can even type these out yourself to do on your own to rank as well. I also have a guidebook in my bio as well if you wanted to use that instead to follow along. But let's hop into it. One fit factor that I see a lot of students want to think about is the size of their school. So, um, what I'm going to ask folks to do is you're going to rank each of these statements from 1 to 5. One being it's not important at all, and five being this is super important. I must have this at a school. So, here are some key questions you can ask yourself when we're talking about school, aside of school. Do you want to see familiar faces? Do you want to be independent or quote unquote anonymous, like in a new space? Are you comfortable navigating new and bigger school systems or need something smaller? Do you often seek out adult support in a new school? Are you self driven and motivated? Do you enjoy close relationships with your teachers or vice versa? So, what I'll actually recommend you to do is with each of these statements, rank it from 1 to 5. And then again, this will help you towards the end of this sort of like activity to figure out what are your fit factors. Another one that I see is location. And sorry, I was gonna make it do a fun thing where I click it and each bullet point pops out, but I don't think in Canva it lets me do that, unfortunately. So you're gonna get all the statements all at once. Sorry about that. But when talking about location, there are a lot of questions you can ask yourself. So it can be, do you want a city, an urban area, a different culture? Are you someone who likes nature? So to be outside, maybe it's in a more rural area, maybe it's by the water. Do you want to be somewhere that has a downtown area, like a city as well? Do you want to be close to home? Maybe that's important to you. Maybe you are taking care of your family member. Maybe you give back to family and you have to be nearby. Are you self-driven or motivated? Do you need to be near public transit for family commitments, or are you just down to go anywhere in this country? So again, you want to pause and rank these from 1 to 5 on your own. So another sort of category is personal goals you can ask yourself. Do you want to be somewhere that has a lot of research and scholars? So, for example, are you going to an institution that is going to be able to provide you, grants and provide you the opportunity to dig into a specific thesis or topic, and they have the resources for that? Or do you want to go somewhere that has a large range of topics? Uh, do you want to choose a major you want to study, or do you know what major you want to study, or do you want a degree that's very practical and technical? So maybe it's like it teaches you really hands-on skills or technical skills to use immediately versus theoretical or uh, kind of like liberal arts style classes where it's very theory and discussion based versus like technical is like you can use it right away. So like if you're learning how to code, that's very technical and very practical. Or lastly, maybe you're just not sure on what college you want to study. What do you want to study in college, which is completely okay as well. But again, pause and rank these 1 through 5. Learning styles. This is very important because you're going to be in school for 4 and maybe up to 6 years. So you have to make sure you're in a right space that is meeting your learning needs. So a couple of questions you can ask yourself and to rank as well is: do you require a lot of attention? Do you thrive in spaces that are experiential and have a lot of hands-on learning? Or do you prefer something that's more dialogue based, where you're having a lot of discussions, maybe arguments, maybe debates? Do you do well in lecture style classes where you can just listen and take notes and just learn on your own? Or do you want a place that just has a lot of different opportunities for learning? So again, rank those 1 through 5. Climate and community. A lot of questions can be asked here. So these do not encompass everything, but I want to say it'll get you a good idea on what's important to you as you rank through these. One thing is, do you want people who look like you? So this could be really sharing your identity, your culture, your background. You want a diverse campus, a campus that's known for being inclusive of different communities and different identities. Are you someone who loves sports and athletics? There's a lot of schools that are big sports colleges or universities. Do you want a university that has a lot of extracurriculars? Or do you want a student body that cares about volunteering, social impact? So maybe a space where you can really give back to the community you're actually in, maybe the city or town? Or do you want a campus that has a lot of resources for first generation or low income students, especially if you are a first and low income student? I'm assuming that'd be important to you. So again, rank those 1 through 5. And then lastly is finances, which is one of the most important categories to talk through. So there's just 3 questions that I want you to think about through here is one, will the cost of college be a major determination for my family and I? So like, will this really determine where you go to college? Do you need a job when you're in college? So again, maybe you want a school that has a lot of on-campus opportunities and work study opportunities. Are you concerned about affordability? Which again would mean you want to look at colleges that are going to be affordable. And again, the pause here and rank that 1 through 5. So I ask you to do a lot and to pause and sort of do a little bit work on your own, which you have to do in this college process. But after you've ranked all of these different statements and these different categories, take a look and reflect and sort of pull out key themes, because anything that's ranked 4 to 5 is likely going to be a high priority. And you may see some of these statements are similar to each other. So you can start to pull out these themes when you're doing your college list. So maybe you ranked a lot of 5s around having a campus that has a lot of opportunities. You want to study. So again, maybe you want a campus that has a lot of majors. It's a big school. It's a lot of support there for you to figure out what you want to do for life. If it's ranked a 3, it can still, be important, but it may not um, stand out as the ones you ranked higher. So that may be sort of like in the mid range. 1 to 2, I'll be frank, you probably don't care about it, which is fine. That's perfectly fine if you don't care about it. But again, it shows you what you want to be thinking about as you craft your list. So my hope is that after you go through all of these statements, you're able to pull out maybe 3 to 6, maybe even like up to 8 different fit factors that you want to use as you start to craft your college list. And again, those fit factors are going to help you create a sort of checklist on what you need and what is non-negotiable for you to apply to a specific college. There's also some work that you can do, just sort of like taking notes and reflecting as well beyond these statements. So, here are a couple other sort of spaces to walk through, figuring out what is important to you in your college list. So, 4 main reflection points that I would love for you to take some time just to write notes on. One is just location. When you think about location, what do you need out of a college? Could it be far from home? Maybe it's close to home. Do you need to be in a city, a suburb, somewhere near the water by the ocean side, in a rural area? Is it warm? Is it cold? Do you need to be in a specific state or maybe a specific region in the US or Pacific Islands? I don't know. But again, taking some time for yourself to write through which locations do you actually want to be considering as you apply to college. Two is the size of your college. Colleges can range from like 1,000 to up to sometimes like 25,000 students. So you want to really think through, are you someone who likes a really big school, which means, you're kind of going to be almost like probably in a city or maybe in a college town, meeting a lot of new people, a lot of new faces on and off. Or maybe you want something that's a bit more mid-sized, so maybe below 10,000 students, maybe to 5,000 students. Do you like large classes, small classes, something that's tight knit? What are you looking for again in that size of the school? Maybe you're also thinking through like, is this a highly ranked school? Do you want a top 100, top 25? Uh, if that's important to you as well in size and ranking. Also, as I said before, like, do you want a school that has like a lot of majors, or are you trying to go to a very specific niche major, and this size school has that for you? And then the third category is going to be academics and career. So speaking to that again, like what is the major and focus area you want to study? Like is there a specific niche you want to go down? For example, maybe you want to do pre-med. So you want programs that have really ranked well on that and will really set you up for success to go to medical school. Or maybe you want to go down the law track, or maybe you're trying to be a teacher. So again, like writing down like what are these careers and academic goals you have for yourself, and using those to help you again to craft out which colleges are the best fit for you. If you're uncertain, I would recommend then a school that has a lot of majors, or maybe a liberal arts school where you can sort of make your own major and down that path. Lastly, it's going to be extracurriculars and activities. So again, like what is important on campus for you? What are you trying to do on campus? Do you want to join like a consulting club, or maybe you just like a lot of organizations that help you build community and get to know the members of your school? Or maybe you want to join a student body. What is it you need or do you see yourself doing on campus that's going to excite you? And then cross referencing that with your college, do they have these activities and extracurriculars? If they don't, then again, maybe that is not the right school for you. If they have a bunch and loads of them, then go ahead and add that to your list. So with each of these sort of like categories you're going to reflect on, it is again just to help you home in on what is important to you with your fifth factors, but then also adding a bit more sort of like bullet points as well, like what you're looking for. And my hope is that with all of this information you have and reflecting you have, is you're able to take this to then again nail down your final college list and make sure where you're applying to is right for you. At the end of the day, you're applying to college, so again, it has to be your decision and your choice on where you're applying, and it has to match what you need. So we're now going to talk about types of colleges. Again, I will preface this is more so for me just to give you that knowledge and understanding and to learn about different type of colleges. You don't necessarily need to know all of these, so if you want to skip past any of this, please feel free to do so. This is again just to kind of teach you um, your options. uh, so hopefully this GIF works. If not, I'll be sad. But what's most important is you have a lot of choices in the types of colleges you're applying to. I believe there's almost like 13 or 12 different categories that I'm going to walk through. So again, it's going to take a little time, but if you want to learn, it could be good for you. If not, I have no hard feelings if you skip past this. So, first one. You see me using interchangeably college and university. However, they're actually mean two different things. So, when we're thinking about a college, this is any degree granting institution that offers high school graduates an undergraduate education. So, typically, this would be a bachelor's of science and arts is awarded, or other degrees. Some colleges may also offer associate's degrees, which is for 2 years, and you may transfer or finish up your 4 years somewhere else. And some may even offer sort of like training certificates. Um, Most colleges have a lot of just acres of land that they use. Some could be fully remote or hybrid. So college is pretty widely encompassing, like in terms of the definition. But again, main thing is you'll get a 4 year degree, or maybe sometimes I'll have other opportunities like a 2 year degree, or certificates. Some examples that I listed, if you know these colleges: Boston College, Pomona College, California, Bowdoin College in Maine, and Union College in New York. Now, on the flip side, university is a degree granting institution, sorry, that's a typo, that also offers master's and doctoral level degrees. So if you're getting an MBA, if you're getting a PhD in something, a university will specifically offer those along with 4-year degrees or bachelor's for students. Some examples are Harvard University, the University of California, Los Angeles, or UCLA, Rice University, or New York University, or NYU. Oh, there's probably more universities than there are colleges, I'm assuming. 4-year colleges that are nonprofit. In most cases, every single college is a nonprofit. And sorry, I'm going to use college and university interchangeably here, but every institution is a nonprofit organization. They will be the public or private, but again, they don't seek to make a profit. It's meant to be for like the good of people, and again, like supposed to give back and be impactful. Every student will typically complete their bachelor's degree within 4 to 6 years. I will note again, I say this range because I feel like sometimes students think they need to get it done in 4 years. You do not need to get your degree done in 4 years. You actually have up to 6 years, especially if you're on a federal aid, so like a if you're on, I'm trying to blank on the Pell Grant, if you're getting aid from the government, you usually get that for up to 6 years. It's a little different if you're in a private institution where you get a private scholarship, but again, like you have a good amount of time to get your bachelor's, so you should never feel rushed to meet that timeline, especially if you have other things going on in your life, a leave of absence, or you want to study abroad, or you want to do a minor, whatever it is. You do have up to 6 years. Just depending, you have to look at your financial aid to make sure it makes sense. Some students even get their degree done in 3 years or 3.5. So it just kind of depends on your program. But that's the typical range I see students is 4 to 6 years. Some examples of universities, or I mean, sorry, four-year nonprofits would be like Cornell, Boston University, Temple University, Hunter College. There's so many across the United States and Pacific Islands. So I talked about this a second ago, but within sort of being a 4-year nonprofit institution, there comes private and then public. So a private college is any university or college that is funded primarily through tuition, fees, and private donations. Some examples would be John Hopkins, Vanderbilt, the University of Southern California. So they're actually relying on the money that students give them, or donors who are just very rich and give out millions of dollars because they want their name on the school. Whereas a public college is any college or university funded by federal or state money. So they're getting a lot of government funds, which actually tends to tie them to specific requirements that they have to do, like in a grant, which is, you don't need to know about that, but it does, again, because it's government money, they're kind of held to a different standard typically. What also means, though, that public colleges and universities tend to be cheaper than private ones because they'll have in-state tuition, and even out-of-state tuition tends to be cheaper than most private ones. Some examples are the University of Massachusetts in Boston, San Diego State University, Arizona State University, a typo, sorry. But again, so private, essentially, again, what it means, it's private. They're getting money from all these other sources. Public means a lot of their money is coming from the government. Okay, so part five. I told you, there's a lot of types of colleges. Bear with me. I hope you're learning something. But liberal arts colleges, so these are studies in like literature, languages, philosophy, history, mathematics, sometimes in sciences, but more so it's kind of like a lot of options and like flexible majors. So this is a great choice for people who don't know what they want to study and you want to just try things out your first year or your second year, or even your third year. Liberal arts colleges give you that flexibility and that adaptability, just to be a bit more like free in what you do in college. So you're not sort of having to go in your first year like immediately decide your major. They won't prioritize technical majors like engineering or like architecture. So that's something just to note if you are going to a heavily emphasized liberal arts college. Some examples are Williams College, Amherst College, Claremont McKenna College, and Vassar College. They also tend to be a bit smaller in student body. Like I think I usually see most liberal arts colleges be anywhere between like 2,000 to 5,000 students, but some like large schools are also considered liberal arts. Like really, like NYU has its own liberal arts curriculum, so a little wonky, but most like designated or like known liberal arts colleges tend to have a smaller student body. They also have really good financial aid. I will note that. So technical and professional schools, these are much more skill focused, so a lot of hands on learning. So you'll be studying something very specific, such as like nursing, architecture, maybe plumbing, something along those lines. Very, very specific if you know what you want to study and you want to get out of it fast, because it's typically not for 4 years. Maybe it's like 1 2 years or 2 years or 3 years, and then you do some sort of externship or co op. So it's a lot of hands on learning. You know what you want to do, you go into it and you get your credential. It's usually like a certificate or some sort of certification you get by doing it. I will say scholarships are unlimiting, but because you're finishing the school faster, you're typically going into a job that pays relatively well post graduation too. So some examples are State Technical College of Missouri, Pittsburgh Institute of Aeronautics, Bates Technical College. So you'll usually see technical in it. But again, very specific and niche programs where you're getting a lot of hands-on experiential learning, and it's usually a certificate of some sort or certification you're getting, which also has its own value in comparison to a bachelor's, and it's just a little faster. Whew, I think we're halfway there. Uh, I'm gonna talk now about minority serving institutions. There's about four of them that we have in the U.S. The first ones are HBCUs, which are historically black colleges and universities. So these are all established sort of before 1964, and the principal mission was and is the education of Black Americans, and that is accredited by the National Recognized Accrediting Agency or association determined by Secretary of Education. They started under segregation to provide higher education opportunities for Black Americans, and students also have an opportunity to experience an educational community in which they are part of the majority. So again, these are specifically for Black students only who are attending. Some examples are Howard University, Morehouse College, Xavier University of Louisiana, etc. These are great institutions because it really allows you to not sort of be isolated by yourself. You're in a large community of other individuals who share your identity and your background. Specifically, HBCUs are known for that. There's a lot of pride in them, and there's also a lot of great programs out there within their colleges too. We also have Hispanic serving institutions, so HSIS, 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 sorry. But these are colleges, universities, or systems of districts where the total Hispanic enrollment constitutes a minimum of 25% of the total enrollment. So a quarter of their students are Hispanic, essentially. And they're committed to supporting the needs of those, specifically who are first generation college students and often first gen Americans as well at these institutions. Some examples are CUNY, Queens College in New York, the University of Texas at San Antonio, Northeastern Illinois University. So again, same essence, creating that space for identity affirmation and being in community with other students who look like you and share your culture. And again, a lot more resources specifically for those students who are Hispanic at these schools, who are trying to get graduate, and oftentimes are first gen or first generation Americans. So the third minority serving institutions are called tribal colleges and universities, so TSUs. These are institutions that in the United States that are chartered by tribal governments and located on or near American Indian reservations. So again, schools built for um, American Indians or Native Americans. So examples are Little Bighorn College, Stone Child College, Navajo Technical University. And last but not least are Anapeesis, which is a mouthful, but these are Asian American and Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander serving institutions. So these are for colleges, universities with an undergraduate enrollment that is at least 10% Asian American and Sorry, that should be Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander. There's a typo there. But some examples are City College of San Francisco, CUNY Hunter College, the University of Hawaii in Manoa. But sorry, it should be Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander in the description. So again, a lot of these institutions will have their own AAPI and HPI office that is supporting those students as well on campus. So creating more spaces for identity affirmation and community building. Now, on the flip side, unfortunately, uh, I don't know about unfortunately, but a lot of schools are designated as PWI, which means they are predominantly white institutions. So that's actually most universities right now in the United States. So typically, it has 50% or more of their students and who are enrolled are white, and then not to say this is a bad thing. You're still able to meet other students who have different cultural and also identities they're bringing to the space. And these schools are doing their own work to diversify their people and also provide resources to BIPOC students. But it's important to think about like what do you need in university? Will you be comfortable? Will you feel safe? Will you feel supported at a PWI? And if it's a very like skewed PWI, like again, do you want to be at that school? It's a question for yourself to consider on what is the best fit for you and where you will thrive and have the community that you need. Some examples are Harvard, Yale, Stanford, MIT. So actually, a lot of Ivy Leagues, University of Michigan, but most universities are considered predominantly white institutions. We have faith-based colleges, so these are ones that have religious affiliations and also are providing that traditional college offering. Um, so like Bible colleges, rabbinical colleges, and sometimes they even offer specific training for leadership roles in a specific religion. Examples would be the Colorado Christian University, Baylor University, Bethel University. Last but not least are women's colleges, so institutions whose student bodies are composed exclusively or almost exclusively of women. I will say each school will have its own policy regarding how gender identity expression and biological sex is considered in admissions decisions. They will share that in the applications. So they again will also have a larger, I think, female or faculty and administrators, and they'll offer students a lot of confidence building role models, opportunities for leadership, especially for women, and heighten awareness of those possibilities in different industries as well. Some examples, I believe there might be only 26 right now across the U.S., but here are the most popular ones that I know of: Wellesley College, Scripps College in California, Bryn Mawr College in Pennsylvania, and St. Mary's College. Sorry, I thought I paused, I didn't, so there's going to be a weird moment of you hearing me drink water. Sorry about that. Tis the life of recording. um, anyways, those are all the types of colleges, 13 parts. I apologize for all the talking at you and all the definitions, but again, my hope is that you're able to learn something, and maybe some of these types of colleges you see are ones you want to apply to. So we're gonna now go into talking about safety, match, safety, target, and reach schools, or sometimes it's safety, match, and reach schools. It can be used interchangeably, so it kind of decides what language you want to use. Target and match are the same thing. But let's walk through each of these categories. Again, sorry, I was going to make them do like a transition, but Canva is not letting me do that, which sucks. But safety schools. So how I describe these schools are like you will likely get into the school. So with your current GPA and your current test scores, like you will get into it because you will have an above average school when you're applying to them. So like I'm not ever too worried about having a lot of safeties. What's important for me when you're making a college list is that when you're choosing your safety schools, they're not just random schools that are easy, but they're actually schools that you would see yourself at attending. Because on one hand, if you don't get into your target schools or your reach schools, all you have left are your safety schools. That's why again you have to make sure it is a right place for you. And second, maybe the safety school is the most affordable, so you might have to attend that school. So I don't want you to just randomly apply to safety schools. You still need to do that research to make sure it has your fit factors and what you need in terms of academics, career, all those other things you're considering. Target schools are what I like to call a good match, right? So that means you will have similar test scores and academics to them. So if their GPA average is like a 3.6 and you have like a 3.7 or like a 3.5, like you're kind of matching, like again, like what is the average there, which would then mean you have like a 50ish sort of like chance or higher of getting into the school. This is all dependent on like the specific school you're applying to, the major, and also what the school's looking for. But again, like you have an okay shot to get in, so that is like a target or a match school. And then lastly, for a reach school, it's kind of what it says. You're reaching higher for the school. This would mean that it's a very selective institution, where your test scores, academic records are likely lower than their average. Um, so it doesn't mean you should not apply. I'm always telling folks like you never know. Like the worst they can say is no. So like it does not hurt to apply, especially if you really like that school and you can see yourself there. I will say like you're not chosen just based on your scores. They're also going to consider your extracurriculars, your personal statement, your letter of recommendation. So again, like you might be a fit, you might not. It's going to be dependent on the competition and also what is that institution looking for when they're building out their student body. So that is safety, target, and reach. I know it's kind of hard to visualize what that actually means when you're planning out your list. So I want to actually do a case study for you so you can see what I would consider a safety and target and reach based on a specific GPA and SAT score. So this student has a GPA of 3.87 and their SAT is a 1340. So I would consider the University of Massachusetts Amherst a safety for them, because it's above average on most of their academic records that they have for their students there already who applied. And I also tend to use like different scattergrams. So scattergrams are kind of a scatter plot where they're putting a bunch of data points onto an y and x axis based on two criteria. One is a test score, so SAT or ACT, and then two is a GPA. It is from 2 to 4, so it's not. It's the if you have a GPA out of like 100, you may have to recalculate it, but you can find a scattergram on different websites. I'll show those afterwards. But this scattergram is specifically for people who applied to UMass Amherst for the last couple of years. Green means they got in. Red means they didn't get in, and then if you can see the gray, it likely means they're waitlisted. So if you're looking at a scattergram, in this specific scenario, if your dot where I'm at right now with this person is like mostly surrounded by green and like above most red marks or like gray marks, to me, I would consider that a safety school. You're above average. You're kind of in this green area. Now let's see a match into a match school. Sorry about the edit or the weird transition. There was an error with my slide, so I had to redo it. But in this scenario, right, same GPA, same SAT, but now we're at Villanova. So if you can kind of see actually with this specific case, these academic records actually will probably be around the average or a little bit below the average Villanova. But on the scattergram, there is a lot of green. However, if you look closely, there's a lot of red and gray too. So in this sense, like because I'm seeing a mix of green and a mix of red, I would consider this a match school. So it's a match school or it's a target school. I use that language interchangeably, but again, in this specific case, this would be like a 50-50 chance just because I'm seeing a lot of red as well. So um, that's how you would make a decision on whether or not this is a safety or a match. Is if you see more red, you see more gray where your dot is, it would mean that you are again like a little bit lower in chance of getting in, than you would be a safety. Now, on the flip side, if you were going to a reach school like Tufts, which will have a higher GPA and have higher SAT than we currently have right now, in the scattergram, you're seeing a lot of red for your dot is. So that means like you likely would not get in, but there's still a chance because there's still some green dots there, but there's much more red than there is green. Sometimes you can also create a best fit line to see if you're above or below it, but in this case, with a scattergram, it kind of just shows you what to look at. Um, and again, I'm going to talk about in a second, like where you can go to find the scattergrams, because this is actually real time data from students who applied and got in or didn't get in. But that's how you kind of figure out again: is it a safety, is it a target or match, or is it a reach school? So Creating a balanced list is super important when you're making your final determinations. I recommend having between 8 to 12 colleges where 20% is safety, so maybe like 1 to 3, and then 50% is target. So again, these are schools that are in that mid range and like you'd want to go there, and then 30% is reach. This is just my recommendation. You do not have to follow it because there's no perfect way to craft a list. What's most important for me and when you're applying for college is that you at the very least have one or two safety schools that you know you would go to and that are affordable. That is a bare minimum. You can submit up to 20 schools at a time on the FAFSA. Your focus should again be those target and reach schools, since safeties are a sure shot. I would be mindful of how many schools you apply to, because that can mean you'll have more supplement essays you have to write, and also different deadlines you have to account for. So as you apply to more schools, if you go over 12, that is fine, but just think carefully about your capacity and how you're managing your time and your schedule to apply to these schools, and write thoughtful essays and supplements. And again, do your research to figure out how much it's going to cost to go there. You'll at least get an estimate. Or are there scholarships they have already that you can apply to when you're doing the college application process or on Common App? These are the three resources that I recommend you to look into to, one, access scattergrams, and two, again, do more research on colleges that you want to think through. One is College Vine, two is Niche, and three is Naviance, which you would have access to through your school. I believe most schools districts use it. If not, defer to Niche and College Vine. The scattergrams that I showed in the prior slides are ones that I access on Niche. And it was like, again, it was from actual student data. Last thing I'm going to show y'all is a college list template. This is what I have used in the past for students to sort of map out how they're deciding their schools. So you can sort of create the same graphic. You can take a screenshot, or if not, you can also access my either college tracker or college guidebook to get access to this. But when you're writing a college list, what's most important is, one, obviously, what is the college name? But again, writing in the location and going down the line, which fit factors does this college meet? What is the average GPA, the average test score? What is the average financial aid? So again, like, how much will they meet? How much will they give students? What is the acceptance rate? And then you make a determination: is this a safety reach or match? And then admissions decisions will come later in May, but just so you have it there as you're starting the crafter list. So this is the end of the video. I appreciate y'all sticking in to watch this. I know it's a long video with a lot of definitions, but next steps for y'all would be, one, to determine your fit factors. So go through those exercises that I showed you to really figure out what are your fit factors, and then two, research your colleges, universities. Start figuring out where you want to apply to, how many you want to apply to, and then again ranking them as well, if they're target, reach, or match. And then lastly, my hope is that you are starting to then craft your final college list sometime in September or October as you go through the next steps of the college application process. If there are any questions that came up in the video, please do comment to let me know, or feel free to DM me on one of my different social media channels. I'll be happy to answer them. But I appreciate y'all sticking along, watch this whole video, and yeah, I'm excited to keep finishing up this college application process. This is part 3. There'll be a few more parts to come, and hopefully I'll get to posting those soon. But thanks, y'all, and have a great morning, afternoon, night, wherever you're watching this from.